I have to say, the Mississippi state flag is a good one. They jumped up in the tiers from very bottom tier to top tier flag. Best flags. This is now one of the better ones, but New Mexico is really good. The symbol. Wow, what are the other good ones? I really like New Mexico. That one always stands out. But there's a couple I'm forgetting about. Texas, I mean, you got to give it to them just for simplicity and starkness. Flags are not politics. Flags are aesthetics. We're talking purely on aesthetic grounds. Virginia does have a murder on it, which is pretty fucking metal. It has a murder being carried out. But I don't like flags with human figures on them because humans don't pop on a flag. It's too much detail. It's too busy. You need big, bold strokes and colors. In my mind, that's the best flag, which is why New Mexico is so good. It's like, shit. Anything that looks like it could be the emblem of like a alternative history fascist movement that took over the world, that's a good flag. Ohio can fuck off for two reasons. It's actually a decent design with the big O for Ohio, but two problems. One, it's a pennant. Get over yourself. Everybody else has a fucking rectangular flag. You can get a rectangular flag too. Who the fuck do you think? You're Nepal? The Nepalese flag is like that because it's, you know, those pennants are like, you know, traditional elements of Nepalese Buddhist practice. You just want it to be different. And too many stars. Why are there stars? What are the stars doing? What are the stars on there? Just busy, and they're not even they're not even symmetrical or anything. They're just almost randomly thrown, scattered. And I will cop, as a Wisconsinite, Wisconsin has one of the worst flags in the country. Wisconsin and New York, which both have the big emblems with the two figures and all the bullshit on the fucking shield, that's dog shit. Huge swing and a miss there. And the funny thing is not only do they have similarly shitty flags, they actually basically have the same state motto. Because the state motto of Wisconsin is forward, and the state motto of New York is Excelsior, which is, I believe, forward in Latin or something else. So I will cop Wisconsin bad state flag. Wish it was different, but it is really bad. Washington's, yes, clip art is the word for it. Fucking just a terrible line drawing of George Washington. Dog shit. Excelsior is upwards. Well, depending on like where you're facing, upward and forward mean basically the same thing. You're talking about progress. You're talking about positivism. You're talking about like the Brazilian flag, Ordo ou Progresso. You're talking about upward or forward movement. Progress. The worm turning towards greater prosperity and safety for all. The 19th century credo. Arizona's is good too. The Southwest flags are both good. Oh yeah, that's great. Oh, with the star and then the fucking sunburst behind it. It's like fucking Imperial Japan, but not problematic because, you know, Arizona has not carried out any genocides in the greater East Asia Coast prosperity sphere that I'm aware of. Yeah, no, Arizona is what you want in a flag for sure. People are shouting out Indiana. Let me look at that one. Not bad. The torch is pretty good. The torch and in this case, the stars make sense, unlike on the Ohio flag. So, yeah, no, Indiana's not bad. I mean, ironic since Indiana is absolutely bottom tier toilet garbage state, bottom 5, but nice flag. Somebody is yelling for Missouri. This has got to be bad. Those fucking hicks, man. Think you're Midwestern? I do not think so. Okay, is it two bears? Are there two bears? Are there two bears holding up an emblem? Okay, that's kind of cool. They have literal bears. I believe those are two of Alex Branson's ancestors. That's impressive. Yes, Missouri is the South, correct. I'm glad someone pointed that out. Wow, I did not... Yeah, two figures holding up an emblem is boring, but if the two figures are bears, it's kind of charming. It's almost like a flag for an alternative world where the bears took over. Planet of the Bears. That's whimsical. I like it. The bear is also the symbol of the city of Berlin. You see a lot of bear-themed emblems and symbology there. Albania has a great flag. Anything with a fucking a symmetrical bird, 2 fucking headed eagle. It's good. It's real good. Mexico also has a good flag. Mexico and Canada both have vastly better flags than the United States. I hope this is all understood. Both Canada, you can say what you want about, oh, it's a leaf that's kind of, you know, it's not virile in the way you want a nations to be represented, whatever, if you're, you know, going to be heteronormative about it. It's just, it's striking, and it pops. The colors and the design pop. And Mexico with the fucking eagle and the snake, great. America, bunch of lines, not even symmetrical. Bunch of lines. Like, the ideal version of the American flag is the British Union Jack. That is that concept made into something visually interesting. Everything else is just some version of bars, like France and Poland and Russia and Germany. Barred colors that all mean something. If you're going to mix that up, the British figured that out. Give me another flag, folks. Let's keep reviewing some flags. Of course, before you say it, Mozambique, everyone loves it. It's got a fucking AK on it. Badass. The Soviet flag was really good. Hammer and sickle, how do you beat it? Just in the one corner, though, so you've got that just field of red. Man, it was something. Somebody keeps asking for the Isle of Man. That's the one with the fucking Lovecraft, like, occult Wicker Man ass leg guy, right? Yep. What's that thing called? I'm gonna look this up. There's a name for that, right? The 3 legs. A nitricacin. That's it in. Oh, it's the Triskelion. Triskelion. Nice. Triskelion. We love it, folks. Don't we love a Triskelion? We love it. We got 3 legs. They go down the street. Bye-bye. Oh, man. The Red Hand of Ulster is, it's appropriately metal for what has, the history of that region of the world. Like, if you guys are going to fight over symbols and, you know, historical memory and identity like that, you better have some badass symbology to back it up. And I got to say, Red Hand of Ulster pulls it off. Irish flag, on the other hand, man, it always was hard for me to see all these paddies get all teary-eyed about, you know, the Ra and just flying that thing. Like, you know, flying the Irish flag is a defiant act. During the Troubles in England, it absolutely was. But it's really, all the Irish flag is the Italian flag if you leave it out on the pole for a month. It's just green, white, and then faded orange instead of red. And I understand, yes, it symbolizes the Catholics, it symbolizes the Protestants. You see, the green symbolizes the Catholics, and the orange represents the Protestants, and white is, of course, the pace that we make between us. Boring. Get something more interesting. The harp is pretty good. The harp isn't bad. They should use the harp more. Aruba. Aruba, come on, pretty man. That's not bad. I don't like the star. The star looks like it's a hood ornament. It actually looks like the door of a cop car. That's, yeah. The Aruban flag looks like the door of a cop car. No, thank you. The South African flag, the new one is good. The old apartheid one is hilariously bad. The South African flag is great because it does the, you know, the challenge of just lines or colors, like representative colors. It goes above and beyond just lining them up. And it doesn't even just do like the, you know, the pennant, the internal pennant thing that you get with like Puerto Rico goes through us. It's good. But man, the old apartheid one, which was like a clip art deal where it was like orange and then like the British flag and stuff like all in little, and little rectangles in the middle. Yeah, dog shit. Dog shit. Look at that thing. It's a little it's orange on the top, white in the middle, blue on the bottom, and then in the white stripe, in order, is a little tiny Union Jack, a flag in a flag, and then another flag that represents probably the fucking Boers or the Dutch or something in the middle. That's the other direction, and then another flag, which I think represents like the natives or something. It's dog shit. Milwaukee flag is really, really way too busy and cartoonish. It's not great. Australia, anything with the Union Jack on it is cucked. You're cucked. Get a new flag. Get a new head of state. You motherfuckers had your ceremonial-ass governor general overthrow your elected government once already, and you didn't get rid of fucking the queen. The hell, man. Cucked. Yes, the red letter media guys sitting on a couch should be the Milwaukee flag. Agreed. They represent the city in every respect. Sri Lanka. No, but the apartheid South African flag is some clip art bullshit. A collage of other people's flags. It's like something it's like a flag project, like design a flag for your country, and you forgot to do it until the morning of class. Just dragging flags on a fucking clip art thing and putting it together. What did someone say? I forgot already. Sri Lanka. Ooh, yes. Sword Lion, you're doing well. It's a little busy. It's going to stay out. It's not going to be in my top because it's a little busy, but big. If it was, yeah, like if maybe the border wasn't there. Welsh flag. They used to have a leek on there, and then they switched to a dragon because they thought it was cooler. Have some fucking confidence in yourself. Ugh. Like, you know, the Welsh patriots who fucking fought Edward Longshanks, they flew under the fucking leek. It's not good enough for you? The Alaska flag has Big Dipper on it, right? Yeah, that's not bad. Just the Big Dipper. Like, it actually reflects something natural, which I like. Brazil is funny. It's the only flag in the country, in the world, national flag, that has any words on it. And those words are Ordo ou Progresso, or Order and Progress in Portuguese. Because the people who designed the Brazilian flag were part of a essentially quasi-religious cult around French positivist philosopher Auguste Comte. And they believed that the Enlightenment and then the Industrial Revolution that came after it had created a situation where human perceptive capacity, human ability to empirically observe its world rationally, would become so powerful that all human issues, how problems, would be solved through the application of reason. That was the basic faith. And it was an actual church. They had churches. They were all over the place in the 19th century. They're kind of like a fraternal lodges. It was like a nerdier, less ritualistic Freemasonry, basically, because Freemasons believe kind of broadly the same thing, but in occult terms. Like when they talk about us improving the world, it's in the terms of like the grand work and everything. But in practice, that means applying reason to the world and solving its problems. And they were very influential, and especially in Latin America, like the cientificos, who were essentially the intellectual, the coordinating committee for emerging capitalism in 19th century Mexico under the Porfiriato of Diaz. They were similarly positivist in that they thought, like, if we get the data here, we can turn this country into a modern society and all of our problems, which are lingering issues that come from colonialism and racism and everything else, will be resolved. And it had a lot of influence. I think World War I really kind of took the wind out of the sails on that. World War I was kind of a, oh boy, we got more technology than we've ever had. We have more scientific knowledge than we've ever had. And we just had the world's biggest fucking, like, pie fight at the family reunion that led to the death of fucking tens of millions of people. Just death over whose mustache is more waxed in the greater inbred fuck puddle of European royalty. But, you know, really it was about, you know, the system overheating, the need for, you know, markets to be found elsewhere, and the need to deal with the restive working class who were acquiring political power at an alarming rate in all of the countries that went to war in World War I. And that kind of took the wind out of the sails of positivism. But there, for a while there in the 19th century, it had a real go. And one of the legacies of it is the flag of Brazil, Ordo and Progresso. And then you look at Brazil now, and you look at fucking Bolsonaro running around getting pecked to death by emus and getting 16 types of corona, and saying that we need to not be homos about it, only worse than that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with your police work there, Lou. South Carolina flag is a good flag. There's an interesting factoid about the South Carolina flag, and it speaks to the history of like the settlement into plantation agriculture of the South, because the underlying thing that ended up creating the dueling economic models in the North and South out of the American colonies was geographical. It was distribution of soil riches, basically. The northern tier, thanks to weather and other things, had land that could be used for agriculture, but could not be profitably utilized in the nutrient-intensive, extractive economies of cash crops. So the model became smallholding farmers who traded with cities. They traded their surplus production to urban areas in exchange for finished products. In the South, the existence of this rich bottomland allowed for this large-scale exploitation, which required a degree of labor input that was simply not affordable on the market. No one could be paid enough to do what it takes to make that profitable. You would take all the profit. There would be no profit. There would be no place for the guy to sit on the veranda and fan himself. And that simply wouldn't do. And so slavery had to be invented out of that reality. And the people who carried out that slavery were culturally distinct within the people coming to the New World, because every like wave of first English and Irish immigration, British immigration in the very early years of the colonies, was the distribution at first almost randomly, like religious outcasts and people seeking trade. But over time, as the area became settled and as like its actual distribution of resources became known, people started self-selecting. And in a place where there's a ton of land that could be bought, held, and converted to like massively labor extractive agriculture, meaning indentured labor or slaves, this brought the aristocracy. It brought the gentry of Great Britain. It brought the overflowing squires, the children of the land-owning elite, the real blue bloods. In heraldry, the crescent moon is the sign of the second son, who doesn't inherit anything under primogeniture. The one who has to become join the army or the priesthood or find something to do, because you don't get anything. You have to find your way. And a lot of these people, after immigration and colonization started in the West Indies and in the Americas, they started following suit. They followed the land. And the generation of leaders of colonial South Carolina, the ones who built its institutions and built its culture and built its political, architecture, and its like economic arrangements, were largely the second sons of planters who had already been established in Jamaica and in the West Indies, controlled by the UK, places where the dwindling land, like the land of the old aristocracy, was sort of dwindling away in its profitability during this era in England. And at the same time, you could take your capital if you accumulated there, go to the New World, buy some land, and recreate it there with slave labor instead of tenants or hired hands at a much higher profitability rate than like fucking shearing sheep or whatever you were doing in the Cotswolds. And so they recreated the old aristocracy in the New World, but the same issue of primogeniture arose. And so the early elite of South Carolina were the second sons of those Jamaican and Barbadian planter aristocrats. And so they put the sun on the flag. So that's a fun little fact. Anybody have any other flags for me? Nepal, yeah, that's the one. That's the pennant, right? That's the one that isn't trying. And that's actually, Ohio is just a pennant. This with the saw, it's cool. It's good. It's good. It's a good battle standard, which presumably it was. Maryland is weird. Maryland, if you look at it too closely, you get a headache. It looks like a Magic Eye poster. Milwaukee does not have a nice flag. Milwaukee has a terrible flag. We're talking flags a couple weeks ago. The Milwaukee flag is embarrassing. Some clip art ass shit. And then Wisconsin itself has a bottom tier, bottom 5 flag. Somebody showed me that there's like a vexillology society that ranks the American flags, the flags of the Americas, rather, like all the states and provinces of the United States and Canada. I don't know if Mexico, but definitely those two. And number 1 was New Mexico, which, correct. And Wisconsin was in the bottom 5. Also accurate. Wisconsin's flags has the words 1848 on it, not 1488. Although you could do that if you wanted to. That'd be a clever bit of culture jamming. Because that's when it was founded. But that's just dumb. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why would you do that? Arizona's is also good. I would say that Arizona, New Mexico, the best flags, both of them. That's 1 and 2 for me in the United States. And that's kind of amazing that they were the last 2 continental states brought into the Union. It had taken that long for modern ideas of aesthetics to carry on, because the earlier flags are from states that were brought into the Union in the middle of the 19th century. The florid, a very florid era, florid prose, over furnished rooms, and overly intricate flags. Here's a miner, and here's a farmer, and here's a sailboat, and here's some lead bricks, and here's a bushel of wheat. Literal. Overly literal. You don't have to describe so much, dude. Leave a little bit to the imagination. I gotta say, I think that there is a sign that maybe if we haven't gotten better at some arguments in America, maybe we've just have so many more pressing idiocies that we can't remember the old stuff. But the fact that Michigan's that Mississippi's new non-Confederate flag says, "In God We Trust." Having grown up in the 90s, I swear to God that would have been a bigger deal if that had happened then. Putting God on a state flag. Because that's the kind of shit that people actually talked about in like the late 90s, early aughts. Like fucking manger scenes in town squares and shit. And like, sure, like conservatives and people still talk about that stuff. But there was a while that was a thing that liberals love to bat around. You know, this idea of really enforcing a separation of church and state. It was during that period, especially after Bush became president, when everyone on the liberal left was terrified of some theocracy being imposed. And there was this like militant secularism. And then now nobody cares about it. Nobody gives a shit.